So if we eat meat, that is seen more clearly. But if we eat vegetarian food, still other beings have to die for it, because the farmers who plant the crops, they will naturally kill all the pests that destroy their crops. Like in Malaysia, you have monkeys and squirrels and rats. And in other countries, maybe rabbits and kangaroos and smaller creatures like worms, caterpillars, insects, etc. So whatever we eat is always at the expense of other beings. So if we consider that, we should not be greedy for good food. Just see that we have to consume the food to survive. And our purpose of survival, we should have a purpose. There's no point if we survive at the expense of other living beings and waste our life. So in this case, this husband and wife, they have to cross the desert. And this is an analogy for the sea of the desert of samsara. If we want to cross the desert of samsara, we have to survive and live the holy life, practice the Dhamma to get out of samsara. So the Buddha says food should be considered in that way. We owe a debt to others, other beings that we have to eat at the expense of their lives. So if we consider like that, then we are not greedy. And then also we make good use of our life to benefit ourselves and to benefit others. Not live our life aimlessly. A lot of people, because they don't understand the Dhamma, they live their life aimlessly and they never get out of samsara. Not to get out of samsara is not so bad. The only problem is they'll be falling to the woeful plains again and again to suffer. So the Buddha says, when you have understood the nutriment, edible food in this way, then the lust for the sensual pleasure, you will not, you will reduce your lust for sensual pleasure, because you know the longer we live and enjoy life, the more we hurt others. This, as they say, is a dog-eat-dog world. Each person survives at the expense of others. And how, monk, should the nutriment contact be seen? Suppose there is a flayed cow. That means a skin cow, a cow with the skin removed. If she stands exposed to a wall, the creatures dwelling in the wall would nibble at her. If she stands exposed to a tree, the creatures dwelling in the tree would nibble at her. If she stands exposed to water, the creatures dwelling in the water would nibble at her. If she stands exposed to the open air, the creatures in the open air would nibble at her. Whatever that flayed cow stands exposed to, the creatures there would nibble at her. It is in such a way, monks, that I say the nutriment contact should be seen. When the nutriment contact is fully understood, the three kinds of feeling are fully understood. When the three kinds of feeling are fully understood, I say there is nothing further that a noble disciple needs to do. I stop here for a moment. This cow is a cow with the skin removed. So if the skin is removed, the flesh, other creatures will like to bite the flesh, to eat the flesh. So whether she is standing touching a wall, when she stands touching a wall, then the creatures in the wall would bite her. If she stands against a tree, creatures in the tree would bite her. If she stands in the water, creatures in the water would bite her. In the open air, creatures in the open air would bite her. This refers to our six sense bases. At the six sense basis, contact means contact with external sense object. That means for the eye is forms. Forms will make contact with us, and sounds will make contact. Smells, taste, touch, and thoughts would make contact. And when it makes contact, then feeling arises. This feeling can be pleasant, can be unpleasant, can be neutral. But when the unpleasant feeling arises, then we feel pain. So each time unpleasant feeling arises, we feel pain. So in the same way, just like the contact touching us gives rise to painful feelings. So this cow with the skin removed, every time the little creatures come into contact with her body, and then she feels pain. Then the Buddha says that is how we should understand contact. So you see, this contact comes at the six sense doors. Okay, and these six sense doors, whenever the six sense consciousness arises, the world arises. So the world at the six senses always gives us pleasant and unpleasant feelings, and neutral feelings. The pleasant feelings, however much we experience, is never enough. But when the unpleasant feelings arise, we cannot stand. Okay, so that's why the world is called a world of suffering. Samsara is a world of suffering. So a liberated person, the Arahant, does not like to dwell in the world of the six senses, in the world of the six consciousness. An Arahant, if you look into the Suttas, after they have become liberated, they constantly, every day, abide in jhana. When a monk abides in jhana, he goes into his mind. He withdraws from the world of the six senses, because the world of the six senses is an unpleasant world. It's a world of suffering. Okay? Arahant constantly abides in his mind. So there are some people who don't understand. They say monks who like to abide in jhana, not seeing reality, running away from reality, trying to, just like some people renounce, and people who don't understand, worldly people say this person renounced to become a monk, he's running away from reality, not facing the world and all that. It's rubbish, because the world is not a pleasant place at all. That's why the Buddha says, even to exist for a moment more, he doesn't want. The Buddha says, the world to him is like shit. Excrement is stated in the Suttas. So wise men will go back into our mind. That is our original home, as Ajahn Chah says, going back to our original home. And how, monks, should the nutriment mental volition be seen? Suppose there is a charcoal pit deeper than a man's height, filled with glowing coals without flame or smoke. A man would come along wanting to live, not wanting to die, desiring happiness and averse to suffering. Then two strong men would grab him by both arms and drag him towards the charcoal pit. The man's volition would be to get away. His longing would be to get away. His wish would be to get away, to get far away from the charcoal pit. For what reason? Because he knows, I will fall into this charcoal pit, and on that account I will meet death or deadly suffering. It is in such a way, monks, that I say the nutriment mental volition to be seen, should be seen. When the nutriment mental volition is fully understood, the three kinds of craving are fully understood. When the three kinds of craving are fully understood, I say there is nothing further that a noble disciple needs to do. I stop here for a moment. So here the Buddha is saying, because of mental volition, whenever we exercise mental volition can be exercised in various ways. Like we we desire to do this, desire not to do that. In a way, when we exercise our mental volition, that is creating karma. And also, when we crave for something, there's also mental volition. We crave for sensual pleasure, we crave for existence, or we crave for non-existence, or the will to live. We have a strong will to live. That is also mental volition. But basically, the Buddha says, like this man falling into that pit. Falling into that pit means falling into samsara, falling into the round of rebirths. Once you fall into the round of rebirths, you will suffer and or die. But it's a continuous process. You suffer and die, suffer and die, suffer and die. Each time, every lifetime. So that the Buddha says we should see, because of our mental volition, that we are dragged into the round of rebirths. But in the Buddha's teachings, the Buddha says that the round of rebirths is primarily due to craving. So you can see that the mental volition is connected with craving. And the Buddha always mentions 3 types of craving: craving for sensual pleasures, craving for existence, which is also the will to live, and craving for non-existence. So when you understand the nutriment mental volition in this way, then the 3 kinds of craving are understood. So we have to let go of this mental volition, basically the craving, the various types of craving. Then only we don't fall into that pit, that burning pit of rebirth. And how, monks, should the nutriment consciousness be seen? Suppose they were to arrest a bandit, a criminal, and bring him before the king, saying, "Sire, this man is a bandit, a criminal. Impose on him whatever punishment you wish." The king says to them, "Go, men. In the morning, strike this man with 100 spears." In the morning, they strike him with 100 spears. Then at noon, the king asks, "Men, how's that man?" "Still alive, sire." Then go at noon and strike him with 100 spears. At noon, they strike him with 100 spears. Then in the evening, the king asks, "Men, how's that man?" "Still alive, sire." And he says, "Then go and in the evening strike him with 100 spears." In the evening, they strike him with 100 spears. What do you think, monks? Would that man, being struck with 300 spears, experience pain and displeasure on that account? Venerable Sir, even if he was struck with 1 spear, he would experience pain and displeasure on that account, not to speak of 300 spears. And the Buddha said, "It is in such a way, monks, that I say the nutriment consciousness should be seen. When the nutriment consciousness is fully understood, name and form is fully understood. When name and form is fully understood, I say there is nothing further that a noble disciple needs to do." That's the end of the sutta. So here finally, the simile for the nutriment consciousness is like a criminal being struck with 300 spears each day. So my interpretation is that like the embryo, the consciousness descends into that embryo, and then this being starts. So when he is conscious, the consciousness strikes him like this man being struck with the 300 spears. Every time he is conscious in the womb, he experiences pain. And consciousness is always conscious of nama rupa, mentality, materiality. So that's why when you understand consciousness, you will understand nama rupa, mentality and materiality. but